You know that feeling when you're placing your trust in someone, especially when it comes to something as vital as your health?
Hmm.
How do you really know that the health care you're receiving is, well, the best it can be?
That's a fundamental question, isn't it?
Yeah, what are the behind-the-scenes checks and balances, the things that ensure quality and, crucially, safety?
And that leads us right into today's topic. It's all about something called external quality assurance, or EQA.
EQA.
Yeah. We're going to do a bit of a deep dive, looking at it through the lens of some major players. Think Joint Commission International, NABH in India, ISQA globally,
Right.
and even drawing on insights from healthcare consultancies who help organizations navigate this stuff.
Okay, so our mission today for you listening is to kind of unpack EQA, cut through the jargon maybe.
Exactly. Make it clear what it is, why it's so important for, well, for patient safety ultimately.
Perfect. So let's jump right in then. What exactly is external quality assurance? Lay it out for us.
Okay, so simply put, EQA is basically a system. It's designed to check and improve the quality of healthcare services.
Okay.
And that's broad. It includes the actual care, but also things like lab testing, even medical equipment reliability. The key thing, like the name says, is external.
Meaning someone from the outside looking in?
Precisely. An independent third-party organization comes in and assesses how well things are being done against, established standards.
Gotcha.
The big goals are always enhancing patient safety and making sure diagnostics, like lab results, are accurate and reliable.
Because those results drive so many decisions, right?
Absolutely critical. A wrong result can lead down a completely wrong path.
So how does this differ from what hospitals or labs might do themselves internally to check quality? They must do something, surely.
Oh, definitely. Internal quality assessment, or IQA, is vital. They have their own checks. But EQA adds that unbiased external layer.
Like getting a second opinion on the whole operation.
Kind of, yeah. It's like an external audit. They come in with fresh eyes, compare practices against national or even international benchmarks, and can spot things that internal teams, maybe being too close to it, might miss.
And you mentioned it's not just hospitals.
No, not at all. It's crucial for labs, obviously, ensuring test accuracy. Pharmacies use it for quality control on medicines, imaging centers for scan quality, even medical device manufacturing.
Wow, okay. So anywhere quality impacts patient well-being.
Pretty much, yes.
All right, that gives us a good handle on the what. Now let's talk about the why and how. What are the key features that make EQA work, and what are the real benefits?
Well, a huge feature is that unbiased assessment we talked about. Objectivity is key.
Right.
No internal politics or, we've always done it this way, thinking getting in the way.
Right.
Then there's the adherence to standards. EQA isn't just someone's opinion. It measures against recognized benchmarks. Think JCI, NABH, and for labs, a really important one is ISO 500-89.
ISO 15189. Tell me more about that one.
So, ISO 15189 is the international standard specifically for the quality and competence of medical laboratories. Getting accredited to this standard means a lab has demonstrated it meets rigorous requirements for everything from staff training to equipment calibration to, crucially, how it ensures accurate results.
So seeing that accreditation gives you extra confidence in your test results.
Absolutely. It signifies a very high level of quality control and reliability, which directly impacts patient care. And EQA, specifically proficiency testing, is a core part of maintaining that standard.
You mentioned proficiency testing. How does that work? Is it like a pop quiz for the lab?
Sort of. Basically, the EQA provider sends the lab samples to test, but the EQA provider already knows the correct results.
Ah, okay. Sneaky.
Well, effective. The lab runs the test like any other sample, sends the results back, and the EQA provider compares them. It's a direct check on their accuracy.
That makes a lot of sense. Very direct validation. What else?
Benchmarking is another big benefit. EQA allows organizations to see how they stack up against their peers.
So they can see if they're lagging behind or maybe leading the pack in certain areas?
Exactly. It helps identify best practices elsewhere and areas for their own improvement. Hospital B seems to have really low infection rates. What are they doing differently?
Got it. And it tracks performance over time, too.
Yes, that's crucial. It's not a one-off check.
No.
Regular EQA helps monitor if improvements are being made and sustained. It feeds directly into improving their overall quality management systems. It helps build more robust processes.
So it's really geared towards ongoing improvement, not just catching mistakes.
Precisely. It's about strengthening the foundations. Identifying weaknesses, yes, but then building better, more reliable systems to prevent future issues. And this involves everyone, the labs, patients, doctors, regulators, the accreditation bodies themselves.
And I think you mentioned it can be tailored, like different EQA for different types of tests.
That's right. You'll have specific EQA programs for, say, routine clinical chemistry versus highly specialized molecular diagnostics, or for tests done in a central lab versus those done right at the bedside, point of care testing.
Makes sense. You need the right kind of check for the right kind of task.
Definitely. And as I touched on with ISO 15189, for many accreditations, participating in EQA isn't optional. It's a mandatory requirement.
Okay, that really clarifies the what and the how. Let's shift focus a bit more to the why. Why is EQA considered so fundamentally important in healthcare?
Well, first off, there's the regulatory compliance angle. Healthcare is heavily regulated, for good reason. EQA helps organizations prove they're meeting all the required standards for safety, patient care, equipment, you name it.
So it helps them stay out of trouble with the authorities?
Yes, it avoids penalties, but more importantly, it ensures they operate within that safety framework designed to protect patients.
Okay, compliance is one thing. But what about actually improving the care?
That's where promoting best practices comes in. The external assessors are often experts in their fields. They see practices across many organizations. They bring knowledge of what works best, what's current, what's innovative.
So it's not just checking boxes, it's also a knowledge transfer, like getting expert advice.
Exactly. It encourages organizations to aim higher than just the minimum standard, to adopt more effective methods. And that external viewpoint is invaluable.
How so?
Because they're outsiders. They don't have the internal biases or the ingrained habits. They can spot blind spots, inefficiencies, or potential risks that people inside might just not see anymore because they're too used to them.
A fresh pair of eyes can make all the difference.
It really can. And ultimately, all this funnels down to enhancing patient safety. That's the bottom line. Better systems, better protocols, identified risks, addressed at ASAs. It all contributes to safer care.
And I imagine it helps the organization's reputation too.
Immensely. Achieving accreditation through a rigorous EQA process from a respected body like JCI or NABH is a huge boost to credibility.
It signals trust, right, to patients, staff, the community.
Absolutely. It shows a real, tangible commitment to quality and continuous improvement. It builds confidence all around.
Okay, let's get practical. How does this whole EQA process actually unfold? If a hospital decides to go for, say, JCI accreditation, what happens?
Right. So the first step is generally selecting the right assessor. That depends on what's being assessed. It could be a government body, an accrediting organization like JCI or NABH for hospitals.
Or CAP you mentioned for labs.
Yes, the College of American Pathologists is highly respected for lab accreditation. Or it might be a specialized third-party lab for specific types of proficiency testing.
So different experts for different areas.
Correct. Then comes the preparation phase. This is huge. The organization has to get its house in order.
Meaning?
Making sure all policies, procedures, patient records, training logs, everything is up to date, properly documented, and easily accessible. A thorough internal review or self-assessment first is really crucial. Find your own gaps before the assessors do.
Sounds like a lot of homework.
It is, but it's essential for a smooth assessment. Then comes the on-site visit.
The assessors actually come to the facility.
Oh, yes. They spend time there. They'll interview staff doctors, nurses, technicians, administrators to gauge their understanding of procedures and protocols.
Talking to people on the ground.
Definitely. They'll review documents extensively, policies, patient charts, maintenance logs, quality control data. They observe practices directly watching how care is delivered, how tests are performed. And for labs, proficiency testing is usually a key part of this on-site phase too.
So it's a pretty thorough look under the hood. Interviews, documents, observation, testing.
Very comprehensive. After the visit, the assessors compile their findings into a detailed report.
The verdict.
Well, it highlights strengths, which is important for morale and recognizing good work. But critically, it identifies areas needing improvement, specific weaknesses or non-compliance issues.
And that report goes to the leadership.
Yes, it's shared formally with the organization's leaders. And that leads to the next crucial step, the action plan.
Where the organization says how they'll fix the problems.
Exactly. They need to develop a clear plan detailing how they'll address each, finding specific steps, who's responsible, timelines. It needs to be measurable.
Smart goals, basically.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
yes. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. And often, there's a follow-up assessment later to verify that the changes have actually been made and are working effectively.
So it really is a cycle. Assess, feedback, act, verify.
Precisely. It's about sustained improvement, not just a one-time fix. That commitment is key.
You mentioned JCI and NABH earlier. Can we talk a bit more about these organizations and maybe some real-world impacts?
Sure. Joint Commission International, JCI, is a major global player. They've accredited over 1,000 organizations in, I think, more than 70 countries now. Their whole focus is pushing for the highest standards in quality and patient safety.
And hospitals that go through their process actually see benefits.
Absolutely. We've seen testimonials from places like Hong Kong Adventist, Burjeel Farha, Emirates Specialty, Cornish Hospital. They talk about real improvements.
Like what specifically?
Things like much better teamwork and coordination between different departments. Some gain a competitive edge in their market because accreditation is seen as a mark of quality.
Builds trust, I suppose?
Definitely strengthens community confidence. Others report better risk management systems and, importantly, fostering a stronger culture of patient safety throughout the entire organization. One CEO even called it a fantastic team-building exercise.
Interesting. So it impacts culture, not just processes. What about NABH?
NABH, the National Accreditation Board for Hospitals and Healthcare Providers, plays a similar, really vital role specifically within India, setting quality benchmarks there.
Okay. And ISQA, you mentioned them too.
Right. ISQA, the International Society for Quality in Healthcare. They're more of a global umbrella organization. They work to promote quality improvement worldwide through education, sharing knowledge, networking, and also by accrediting the accreditors, including EQA providers themselves.
So they kind of assure the quality assurers.
In a way, yes. They help ensure the external evaluation processes themselves are robust and credible globally. They foster that international community focused on quality.
And then there are consultancies, like Supremediq you mentioned. How do they fit in?
They provide practical help. Getting accredited by NABH or JCI can be complex. Consultancies like Supremediq specialize in guiding hospitals through that process, helping them prepare, understand the standards, develop action plans. They offer that hands-on expertise.
So they're like expert guides for the journey.
Exactly. And, a concrete example really shows the impact. Imagine a hospital gets assessed by the Joint Commission.
Okay.
And the assessors find, say, some inconsistencies in how medications are administered. Maybe procedures aren't always followed perfectly.
A common area for potential errors, I imagine.
Very common and high risk. So based on that EQA feedback, the hospital tightens up its protocols, maybe introduces mandatory double checks for certain drugs, improves staff training on medication safety.
Makes sense.
Then a follow-up check confirms these changes led to a measurable drop in medication errors. That's a direct, positive impact on patient safety, stemming right from the EQA process.
That really paints a clear picture.
Yeah.
Okay, so bringing this all together for everyone listening, what are the absolute key takeaways about EQA they should remember?
I think the biggest thing is understanding that EQA isn't just bureaucratic red tape. It's a really valuable process designed fundamentally to ensure you get safe, high-quality care.
It's for the patient, ultimately.
Yes. And when you see that a hospital or lab has accreditation from a body like JCI or an NABH, it means something. It shows they've met rigorous external standards.
And it's not just a one-time pass, right? That continuous improvement piece seems vital.
Absolutely key. EQA drives that ongoing effort to get better. It means providers are constantly looking for ways to improve their systems and the care they deliver.
So understanding this helps us as patients.
Definitely. It empowers you. You can ask smarter questions about a provider's commitment to quality and safety when you're making healthcare choices. Look for those signs of external validation.
Right. It becomes another factor in our decision-making, a sign of commitment.
Exactly. A commitment to excellence and patient well-being.
This has been incredibly insightful. Thanks for breaking it down so clearly. So just to recap one last time.
Sure. EQA, External Quality Assurance, is that system of outside checks, assessing healthcare services and labs against recognized standards.
Crucial for maintaining quality, promoting best practices,
ensuring regulatory compliance, and most importantly, boosting patient safety.
And the process involves choosing an assessor, getting prepared internally,
The on-site visit with interviews, reviews, observations, testing.
followed by feedback, an action plan, and often follow-up checks.
And key players like JCI, NABH, ISQA, and CPP set the standards and perform these vital assessments.
Okay, fantastic summary. Now here's a final thought for you to ponder. Think about that peace of mind, knowing these rigorous external checks are happening in healthcare. Where else in our lives could we benefit from that kind of commitment to external quality assurance? What impact might it have on trust, on outcomes, if other critical services had similar oversight?
That's a really interesting question to reflect on. And if you do want to learn more specifics about healthcare quality standards,
Yeah.
definitely check out the websites for organizations like JCI, NABH, and ISQA. Lots of great information there.